Well, I'm Jessica Cross with crossworded.com, where I write about communications. And today we're going to talk about something that is near to my heart, and that is propaganda in the mainstream media. Before we get started, if you like this video and you find it's useful to you, give it a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell below as well so that you can subscribe for updates and never miss anything from me. So, propaganda in the media. I'm kind of going off the cuff here. I wrote notes, but it's a busy week. It's election day tomorrow, so we're just going to go with it. Propaganda in the media, I think, is becoming increasingly an issue that more and more people are aware of, and it's become more and more pernicious and more evident this year, especially. A couple of weeks ago, I did a post on NPR's position related to the alleged Hunter Biden laptop. They basically said they weren't going to cover it. They weren't going to give a whole lot of attention to it. Whether they went into any effort to verify the details or not, I'm not really sure. That's not clear from their very limited reporting or their lack of reporting on it. But clearly, the FBI had it, they were investigating it, so it's an issue that needs to be talked about. So here's the problem with propaganda in the media, or with media silencing campaigns, which we talk about some of these communist nations like they're the only purveyors of propaganda, and they absolutely are not. So when your media outlet becomes involved collectively with other media outlets in silencing campaigns, that's a form of propaganda. And the problem with this is that it doesn't serve the audience. It serves special interests. It's, as far as I can tell, the only goal of that story, or of silencing that story, was to see that one person doesn't get elected and then another person does. That's not the proper role of media. And it doesn't serve the audience, it serves the special interests. So, the problem with this is that if you are running to NPR for your news source, and NPR is considered by some as kind of a neutral source, I do not look at it that way. I've been in the media in some form or capacity off and on for the last 15 years. I would disagree with that statement that it's neutral. It's maybe a little bit less of it's less emotional. It's less of an intense experience getting your news from NPR. But to say that it's neutral, I don't think is accurate. But needless to say, if you're following NPR exclusively for your news, you are not informed. If you are following Fox News exclusively for your news, you are not fully informed. If you are following CNN for your news, you are not fully informed. So what are you supposed to do about this? We're going to talk about that in a minute, but the reason that I brought this up today was because I ran into a story on Reason magazine. Reason is a libertarian publication, and they had covered Glenn Greenwald's resignation from the Intercept. Glenn Greenwald is the co-creator of the Intercept, which was founded as an alternative media source. And his reasoning for resigning would suggest that the Intercept is perhaps no longer an alternative media source, that it's falling in line with more traditional mainstream media sources, and there's a silencing campaign or silencing efforts there. So here's what he says in Reason, or here's what Reason says. Let's see. Greenwald said the last straw was Intercept editor's stipulation that he must remove all sections critical of Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden from an article he sought to publish. Greenwald says, not content to simply prevent publication of this article at the media outlet I co-founded, these Intercept editors also demanded that I refrain from exercising a separate contractual right to publish this article with any other publication, writes Greenwald, adding that Biden is the candidate vehemently supported by all New York-based Intercept editors. involved in this effort at suppression. Now, the article does go on to present the Intercept side. We're not going to get into that because that's not what we're doing here today. And I'm not in the media, at least not in the traditional mainstream media writing about political events anymore. So I don't need to worry about that so much at the moment. But I'm going to leave this article, a link to this article in the description for you so you can follow it as well. So what are you supposed to do if you follow NPR and NPR is not giving you the news? What are you supposed to do if the Intercept isn't giving you the news? If they're suppressing the news to, as Greenwald puts it, to essentially paint Biden in a better light or refrain from painting him in a bad light. So editors make decisions about what stories to publish all the time. It doesn't mean because there is a story that they have to publish it. They make decisions to publish stories based on all kinds of things, whether or not it could cause harm to a particular group of people, whether or not it's relevant, whether or not it's something that their readers need to know, or whether or not it's something that their readers want to know. There's space constraints. There's all these different factors that go into editorial decisions that get made. But traditionally, the media's role has been, the modern media's role has been, and should be, I believe, to hold the public officials accountable. So if there are accusations of nepotism and that's not going investigated by NPR, that's a big issue for you because they're not holding them accountable to you. Now, I wish there was a shortcut. I wish there was one neutral news source that I could tell you to go to where you can find all your good information. There are some good news sources, but there's not a shortcut. Here's what's happening is that readers and viewers are not properly informed. They think they are because they watch CNN. They think they are because they watch Fox News. They think they're doing a service because they're being good citizens because they're following NPR and the NPR is kind of in the center. It is not the case. It's not true. So what do? You need to seek out, actively seek out various sources of information. Watch a little Fox News. Go for it. Watch a little CNN. Just to get a sense of what's going on. I tell you, CNN and Fox News are not covering the same things right now. They are on debate day. They will be tomorrow during election day. But in general, the one is more focused on the Biden laptop and the other is more focused on COVID, coronavirus cases going up. So if you're focused on one, you're kind of sitting in an echo chamber. And you may be hyper-focused on one issue too much. And you may not really be getting a sense of the big picture. So watch both. Read a little NPR. Listen to NPR on the radio when you're going places. There's some really great libertarian sources. I would highly suggest watch, Reason. Read some Reason magazine online. I'm going to tell you to live dangerously here and even seek out some kind of out there fringe sources. Don't be afraid of that. You are capable. You have the skill. I've talked about this a lot. You have the skill to judge what credible information is and what it is not. And the more you exercise this muscle of kind of pushing boundaries and seeking out different sources of information, the more you exercise that muscle, the better informed you're going to be and the better you will be at spotting BS. So I hope this is something that helps you. I know a lot of you have voted. Tomorrow's election day. It's a big day. There's a push to go to the polls. Look, I never want anyone to go to the polls uninformed. I think that's a mistake and it's irresponsible, and it's irresponsible to encourage people to vote uninformed. So educate yourself. You have the ability. I've given you some resources and some tools and some ideas. I hope this helps you. And I look forward to speaking with you next time.